Thanks for coming back after a 6 to 7 month break. Because I'm conscious of time and I don't want to go over 12 o'clock Sydney time. So I'll start right now. Take your time into. I'll say hi to you once I begin. So today I am going to introduce a topic called what is your priority in life, and we'll go further next week as well, next month if we have more audience. So right now I'm just going to introduce the concept of this speech. It's based on the talk from Venerable Cheng held in Canada earlier this year. After discussion with him, because this is internal, I'm just going to tell you guys, after discussion with him, I like to, he liked me to understand his speech and learn it myself and also share it with people. So that's the origin of this event, and I like to keep it going as a way to remind myself as well, and reminded by everyone as well. So why do I start with this topic? What is your priority in life? Because every time when we talk about these teachings, these topics, all these fun lessons and stuff, they're all talking about one thing. How do you pursue something that you've been asking for? How do you attain? In Buddhism we call enlightenment. In other religions maybe heavens. In our human world we might call it achievements in work, success in family and work. They're all about attaining something, happiness, right? Achieving a state of happiness, of content. And what does that really mean though? And what does it take for us to get to that level? Which is something worth exploring, because it will dictate where we're going. Hence the topic, what is your priority in life? So I'll start with this one, right? We are very busy, all of us. We are busy global communities in Australia, in US, wherever you are. We all studies at some point, self-study or study in uni, study in high school, we study, right? Even after work, we still study. We study because we need to achieve something. We need to pass something. We need to attain something. However, it can be a long progress for some people. It can be a progress of, stage by stage. And in the process of getting there, we will be tested, right? Testament. We'll be tested with doubt, tested with loss. We might lose someone, we might lose a certain relationship, we might lose a promotion because of time we invested on something else. We might lose people, etc., etc. Lost time that could have spent somewhere else. We might face envy, we might face pain, we might face anger, frustration. Even we're distracted from what we originally set out for, right? We might study and become an engineer and then got distracted, or you can't focus, you can't achieve that level, and then you change your direction. So that is common in life, and it takes a lot of focus and energy to get to where you are. And then getting at that point, we might even ask ourselves, is it worth it? And then we will continue pursuing another point, so on and so forth. Once we achieve that milestone, we'll ask, where's next, right? So this begs the question, what are we working hard for, right? We toil at work, 9 to 5, someone is working shift hours, someone's working 9 to 5, rushing the reports and stuff, or the countless night memorizing the formula, the concepts, or trying to find out the right idea for the essays, so that we can score a GPA 7 or ATAR 99. We all work hard for something, and none of them is exempted from this word, happiness. We want to achieve that state of happiness. It can mean different things for different peoples, but they are happiness once we achieve it, no matter how short they may be. Some of them may be long lasting, some of them may be short, but it's still happiness. But we need to identify which one is the one we want to stick with, and how do we find out the one that sticks with us the longest possible time. So that's why we ask the question, what is your priority in life? Because we have so much things to do, so many busy schedules, so many commitments, but where does it lead to? And is it worth it to put the amount of energy and effort into this? So this is something we need to think carefully, right? The earlier you could be aware of it, the better it is. So let's do a simple mental exercise. Imagine you have 1 day left. That's the simplest. Everyone has to face this. Imagine you have 1 day left. What would be the first thing you will attend to? Right? Some might be thinking, go to my family, say goodbye. Presume you have time for that. Or to attend to your wealth, write a will or stuff like that, because you have built up a huge fortune over the years, right? Companies, Forbes 500, if you're lucky, or you're doing pretty well for yourself, own a few properties, you have to manage it, right? Some people might think that. Or go to your health doctors and just trying to get something out of it, like maybe I can delay the symptoms, I can make it better. None of them is not right or wrong. Everyone has different priority. That's why we ask priority. It's not right or wrong. So they all are important. They all seems important. They all probably is important. But we only have 1 day. We can't do everything. I learned it from my own experience. Like, we can't do everything. So this comes down to how do we pick it? And to decide how we pick it, we need to see what actually matters. And how do we know what actually matters? Right, let's take a step back first. If you have wealth, someone with wealth, as you can see in news, probably they have a lot of things to worry about behind the scenes. Beyond the glamorous Lamborghini and stuff, like all this fancy stuff, they have to worry about keeping their wealth. They have to worry about, playing tic-tac with the government. And even worse, they have to worry about inside their organization or even their family, because there might be struggles, power struggles, inheritance struggles. If that person's left a mass of wealth, probably will end up in a lot of lawsuits trying to get their hand on this, right? Because they're all hung up onto the point of happiness, means material wealth, security, which is not wrong, right? Which is not wrong thinking like that, but the action towards it, is it worth it? The energy leading to that, is it worth it, right? Because we all will die. And I'm not going into a very, very like nihilistic talk. Hold on with me. I'm not finished yet, but we all will have to face that, right? So yes, it's important, right? We're working hard for that so that we have comfortable life. But that's not the entire pictures, right? So someone with a very tight family, they probably have to face the pain of separation, whilst looking at their loved ones passing away, losing energy day by day, unable to do anything, right? Or someone with the best access to health care, right? No matter how good they are, top technology from the top countries, with that top research, with top monies, with top cures, can only recommend a pain-free or less pain solution, while we are always will be moving towards the inevitable path for our life, which is death. So what can we bring forward from our life? The hardest thing in life is actually choosing a direction that really matters in the end, rather than putting in the effort. We all will put effort if we find the direction we want to go. Okay, you want to get bonus for this end of the year. So instead of doing 5 cases, you work 10 cases. So now you have a goal, you work hard. You work hard how to speed up the cases, how to do it right, how to get the best quality out of your work while maintaining the speed. That is effort. You will put effort, right? Or for kids, they want to get that, weekend getaway or weekend break. And the parents say, yep, if you finish your homework before 12 o'clock tonight, you will get 2 hours. Every day, if you finish homework before our nappy time, you will get 2 hours on the weekend to game or to go out and hang out with your friends. So they all work hard, quickly finish up their homework. So the effort is easy if you know what you're doing it for. The problem is, what are you doing it for? Where is your effort leading to? The clarity on your direction is something that everyone's been quite, wrapping their head around for, right? I was in uni, I was in workplace, I ask people, including myself, experiencing myself, along with my dear cohorts. A lot say, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know what I'm working for with this. Probably I don't know while I'm doing it. Probably I'll figure it out as I go. That's the best direction. That's the common answer I heard a lot, including myself. I'll just work out where I'm going with this career, with this job, with these studies, right? So choosing a direction that really matters is a big question, is important. And we probably won't have the answer until we've gone through something, or we seen something, experienced something, or there is a moment of, aha, that's it. People call it, it's a calling. All right, some people call it, it's a mission, or some people just say, I just hit my sweet spot. I can do good in this space, so they do it. So that's important, right? Choosing a direction. However, how do you choose the direction correctly, so to speak, right? So that you have the best outcome in your life. Everyone works hard for something, but not everyone is clear on where their effort leads to. So that's one very important point raised here. And the other one is, if we choose a wrong direction, what is wrong? I'll clarify. But if we choose a direction that is not really ideal, right? And we don't know, we just chase the thrill on the moment. The more we walk on that path, the more painful it gets. Now, what does that mean, right? So, direction. What is the right direction? What's the wrong direction? What defines it? Look at the outcome. Look at the consequences. Look at what you get in the end. Right? There is something you can measure. There is something tangible as well, but it will take time to manifest itself. That's why sometimes by the time it reveals itself as a good consequence or bad consequence, it's too late. Right? In Sutra, we're Buddhist group, we can use that. So in the Sutra settings, they already mentioned it's too late by the time the karma manifests itself, because you already have too much momentum behind you. We all know momentum, right? When the car's driving too fast at 200 miles per hour or 300 kilometers per hour, you want to stop within a second. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're going to crash. No amount of regret or pain or sorrow or pray to Buddha will help unless you are very strong. Your heart is stronger than that momentum, which is why it's difficult. We all are creatures of habits. That's why I really appreciate when Venerable Cheng or Master Teacher Chai, he mentioned it again and again since early 2000 until now. 选择方向比奋斗还要更重要. He's consistent in that message, and this is the message that actually touched me. Even though I didn't fully understand and learn, now I realize it's actually really important. Choosing the right direction matters, because by the time the actual consequences of your direction comes out, it's too late. And if it's too late, that means we have to suffer through it. And when we suffer through it, it will take another long time to recover back to where you were. So that's why this topic matters, right? So how do we know what is the consequences of our action? What's the consequences of our directions? So we need to measure. How far can we bring this, fruition forward? Like if we work towards wealth and we overemphasize on wealth, what does it lead to? Right? Instead of wisdom, instead of getting more wisdom, getting more, knowledge, or getting more maturity by learning from others, humility, those qualities, those not so obvious, not so measurable qualities, right? If we just chase one end, neglecting our spiritual needs, neglecting our emotional and our mental, nurturing, we just focus on physical. This is the most obvious example I can bring. Where does it lead? It will lead to inheritance struggles, because if you have multiple kids, they might fight. If you didn't instill a sense of community service, instill a sense of duty, sense of love for each other, love for family, or love for others, you only teach them money is all it matters. Of course you're going to create people like that. You're not going to create someone who will give up their time and effort to help people, right? So this is cause and effect in the most strip it down to the most basic way, right? Another thing is our mentality getting clearer and clearer as we put our effort in there? There's another measurement you can see, right? One is the people that around you. Are they getting better and better? Is your mental state getting better and better as you work down the effort? For example, look at Master Cheng. Very easy, right? We all have followed his teaching. The older he gets, the happier he is. When he was younger, in early 40s and 50s, he looks very, he's still struggling in a sense. Like he's learning, he's trying to get through all this. He got the fame and all that. But then the older he gets, that noise silence down the path, the happier he is, the easier he is to let go. Right? No matter being humiliated or something, he can just take it. So we can measure this ourselves too. Are we getting lighter as we go? Even the burden on us is more. Are we getting more happier because we found the right calling? We are right where we are supposed to be. That's the best way I can describe it. Are you right where you're supposed to be? Do you feel like you are on the spot that you can do the best at that very moment? So that's important, because the other way, the opposite way that will lead to a not so ideal situation or consequences is the more you walk down that path, maybe pursue wealth, pursue fame, pursue, overly pursue something, you have more, in Chinese we call 患得患失, right? The more worried about losing it, the gain and loss, the measurement is heavy, right? The harder for you to let go. And what kind of example will you set up for your next generation as well, right? You, like, for yourself, you're getting heavier as you age. For others, younger people, they will get like, okay, this is how life should be. Like, why am I walking your path, right? If I'm getting more miserable as I age, right? So there is a science behind age gracefully, right? In the mentality state. Why some people looks very graceful? They're able to be comfortable in their skin, so to speak, or be more free as they getting older, because they know where to prioritize. Note, I'm not saying that you should drop everything, like Venerable Cheng emphasized a lot of times. Don't listen to one speech and then you suddenly drop everything and then you just go, okay, I'm just going to mountain and practice. This is not the point of the speech. The point is you do what you do, but you need to prioritize your energy towards something that really brings true effort, true benefits to yourself and your family and your students or your communities. Mostly true, long-lasting benefit. True happiness, right? So now going back to it, you can measure like that. Am I getting heavier in terms of my mentality as I grow up? Or am I getting more able to let go easily as I grow up, right? In another sentence I heard learned from my Chinese background, education background, is Confucius wants to say, right, 3 things a human at 3 stages needs to avoid. 少年介于色, right? When you're in youth stage, you are full of fire, full of energy. You might be having a very strong sexual promiscuity. You have strong tendency to do that. So you need to control yourself in your early 20s or something. 壮年皆至于斗. When you're getting into your 30s, 40s, well, traditionally defined in that range, but it's more on the mental stage, I would say. It's when you get into your, adult, not young adult, like prime adulthood, need to be cautious of fighting. Like, fighting against people, fighting against, overly competitive against something, right? There's nothing wrong with having to work hard for something, voice your objection. That's what my experience is important, especially in the Western world. We emphasize clarity, voice out your point, but not to a point where everything is competitive, everything is struggling, knocking people off their seat. That's not how it works. It's lose-lose situation, right? So that's how I interpret what Confucius says in my current scenario, right? Stand your ground, do your thing, voice your objection if things are not right, but do not overly emphasize on become number one, all right? That's why the topic is, what is your priority in life? What does number one in your 30s really mean when you're older? You lose a lot of friends, you lose the love of your family because you're chasing for that number one. Is it worth it or not? Right? Maybe that glory will last you a couple of years, but then in the end of the day, you're all alone, miserable. That's what it said. Wrong direction leads to more pain rather than happiness than we thought. And then Confucius says something on the third one. 老年戒之于德. As you grow into your old age, the most common is his observation. It's not him dictating us, right? He's a teacher. He's not a dictator. He just say, this is what I observe after went through so many 周游列国嘛，对吗? Went through so many countries in our context, seen so many societies, so many types of societies. What his conclusion on his observation is, towards the elder age, a lot of people tend to cling onto something easily. So 老年戒之于德. So in the older age, we need to be more free, you know, like what happens to our children we can help, but then in Chinese there's another saying, 儿孙自有儿孙福. You know, the kids have their own fortunes, right? And if we set them up properly in the early age, we can help a little bit, but we should not be 100% worrying them all the time, right? And that's also a reflection on ourselves as well if we don't do the job well. So in the elder age should avoid getting too clingy onto things. It should be more, the older you get, the more graceful you are. Grace in this context means you're able to let go easily. All right? In our context, it's even better. You're able to chant Amitabha, you're able to do your job freer. Right? You're able to help people more because you have experience. And maybe the younger people were lost. You were there for giving them some advice. It doesn't have to be a big, deep philosophy. Just tell them during a tea. Let's have a chat about what's going on. You might not understand what they say, but just give them a harbor where they can feel safe at home. Maybe it's those people who were overseas, right, away from their own parents, or running away from maybe a certain family situation. Anyway, I get too specific. What I'm saying is, you know, make use of yourself at different stage in your life would be the best, I would say, best way to, you know, realize your value and hence happiness. Right? That's why we can see from the example of Master Cheng and his old age, he fully realized his value, inspiring countless people just by his action. People who doubt him in his early 60s, seeing him saying, if someone wants to act like a saint, and if they can act for 20 years consistently, that person, no matter how fake they are, they probably become a real saint. 你要装，你可以装20年，那个也是功夫，对吧? So like no matter who doubt him or who doesn't doubt him, like people who have faith in him and learn from his example, you know, as how a good Buddhist should be, will continue to be inspired by him, even though he passed. People who doubt him early on, when he look at his examples, oh, this gentleman is really genuine, you know. He was invited, he didn't ask for it, but he was invited by different organizations, a respectful one like UN, UNESCO, right? Right now that's where it's at, and his office is still there, even though he passed, because his work influenced the people, and people were touched by him just by sitting next to him and see how sincere he is in promoting world peace. And he didn't promote world peace with the big ideas. He just say, start with home, start with your family, start with your religious community, start with your church, start with your own parents and your kids. Don't go too far, start from there. Build up a healthy family units, build up a healthy communities, and healthy understanding of your religious texts or your teachings before you go further. So, direction. Right? So once we have mentioned how important choosing a direction is, and then we put in the effort, what is the conclusion? what would be a conclusion after we learn that? By the way, welcome Melinda. It's good to see the crew is back. I'm really happy to see you guys. I'm sorry for letting you guys wait. I'll get back to you guys again. Thank you. All right. Oh, sorry. I muted you. Sorry, Melinda. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'll get back to this, yeah? So what we mentioned just now is, what is your priority in life? That's the topic of a speech. And then we talk about how our life is busy, how our life is full of commitments, demanding our attention. And we might struggle. We are struggling, probably will struggle in the process of getting there, getting some sort of material goal, like we reaching some sort of comfort in material sense, even spiritual sense, Amitabha able to chant without getting distracted. That is struggle. There will be struggle, right? The better, the more noble the goal is, the more struggle it is. And also, we give a mental exercise. You have 1 day left. What will be the number one priorities you have? Family, wealth, probably, your health, appointments, those things are what probably concerns a lot of people. I'm sure there are even more examples. But what we're trying to bring forward with this point is, no matter what you prioritize in, you probably want to see where you actually go with. What does it bring in the end? Choosing a wrong direction really costs you time. And in Buddhist context, if you learn the text, it does not cost you just this lifetime. It does not end with your death. It continues after your death. You have to repeat this lesson again in next life, which is what happened to myself. And will probably happen to a lot of people. So until you learn the lesson, you can't move on. And everyone has different ways to learn the lessons. But then
what do you mean by that?
I mean, what we mean is, just now we talk about what is important in our life is to choose the right direction. Because when the direction is right, our effort we put in there will lead us to the right outcome. For example, we say that if we choose the wrong direction, so we bring the opposite. What is wrong direction? The older you get or the longer you walk down the path, the more suffering you feel. Right? If someone over-prioritizes on wealth, wealth is important, which all should pursue material comfort to a certain standard, but they over-prioritize it above their own family, like taking care of their own family, taking care of your people who you should be, paying attention to, your kids, your wives, your husbands, your close friends, that gives you the support, or even your spiritual needs. Like if people just pursue one side and say, money, that's it. I don't care about anything else. I can spend 20 hours outside and then neglecting my own family. That's probably not sustainable, because the effort will lead to wealth, but that wealth probably will come to a point where you get old, you will become in contest among your kids, because all you teach them is wealth is important than everything else. All right? Family doesn't matter. Relationship doesn't matter. Love doesn't matter. It's all just money. Right? That's not what it is. We all probably know, right? Like it needs to be a balance. So direction is important. Wrong direction leads not just yourself, but people around you towards that not so desirable outcome. So now we bring back to where we talk about. What do we conclude from this then? Because if we choose the right direction, we will get to where we want. If we choose the wrong direction, or the direction that leads us to a less desirable outcome, we'll probably suffer as we get. And the most obvious one is, are you getting happier the older you get? Because you're walking down the path, whether you choose it or not, you are making a direction, right? Age does not wait for you. Time does not wait for you. Whatever you do is setting a wheel, a motion towards that direction. Whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, that direction is going. You're going towards somewhere, right? Even standing still is a direction. So, right now, what can we conclude from this? Right? So what I learned is the most happiest thing in life is having someone to point that direction towards you. Right? if you have someone or something that triggers, that makes you aware, I need to choose the right direction, that's already a first step towards happiness, and which we all have the access here, right? Knowing the importance of where you're going is the first step. Not knowing that is already a lose-lose game, because if we're lucky, we met someone good, which points you towards the right direction, then you will get to a happy ending, right? You have a happy family, you have a good earnings, just enough to get by, you have a stable lifestyle, and hopefully you will met someone that points you towards better existence than now, improving yourself and your family around you, or friends around you. So that is an outcome we all want to. How do we get there? We need someone to show us the way. We can be our own teacher, but sometimes we don't have enough wisdom or clarity ourselves, because we're clouded with, the three poisons: hatred, greed, ignorance, right? And if we haven't cleared our own poisons, we could not see things clearly ourselves, and hence the blind leads the blind. If we have kids, if we have friends, we have students that follows us, we might lead them blindly too. So having someone to become an eye for ourselves and show us the way, even though we don't get it at the time, right? Eventually we'll get it over the years. It's very important. In Buddhism, we call it Hui Ming. Hui Ming means what? We have two types of life. One is life, right now. You're breathing, your heart is beating. That's your life, right? You're breathing. That's something that we all know and we all would cherish. No one wants to die, all right? Everyone wants to live happily. The other kind of life, as taught by the teachings of the Buddha, is the life of your spiritual life, your wisdom. Like this one goes beyond your existence. This is your Hui Ming. That means what you did, right? Your karmic deeds, right? Leads on and on. That one will lead to another lifetime, but this Hui Ming will continue following you every single life. Why? Because once you're aware, you need to work towards that point, that goal. Because just because you're aware doesn't mean that you reached there already. You just know where you're going, but you haven't reached there yet. So aware of where you're going is number one. And this is why it's important, right? To, if you can, close contact with Dharma, right? I profess I myself have been quite neglected, but that's why we need to continue work on this. Like, we need to listen when there is opportunities, like venerables around, listen. Or when you can, create your own opportunity, open up the speech, the teaching on your traffic to work, commuting to work. Or like Auntie Yenzi, you make use of it to the fullest. You put it in YouTubes. You make it easier for people to hear the Dharma. And for that, you created a karma of hearing more Dharma yourself. But most important thing is, even among Dharma, you need to choose what is the most actionable to lead the best outcome, right? Master Cheng Kung is all about this. Teachings of the Buddha is numerous. It's endless, right? 八万四千法门，样样都能成道. But if you went into all these doors, you only stay on the outside. You have to choose one path and then specialize in it. If it's for you, continue specialize. If it's not, find another path that actually works for you and go in there. Not touching every single point and thinking you will get there. All you do is loitering on the outside of the Dharma door. You didn't actually get to the enlightenment. You need to choose a path, go deep, and then you will reach enlightenment, this lifetime or next. And then there's a shortcut, which is the chanting Amitabha. But that is not easy too. Like, just because it's easier doesn't mean it's easy. To realize that, you need to understand your current situation, and you need to create opportunity for you to have faith and not have doubt in this. And to do that, you need to listen to a lot of teachings, including this one from Venerable Chenda, right? Like, those venerables, they're trying to do is to give us a bit of petrol on this journey, to give us a bit of refuel so that we can continue, because they give us something more relevant to us now, we can use it, we make use of it, we feel like, okay, it really touches my current situation. Now I have renewed energy, vigor, and I can continue the path towards the ultimate enlightenment. That's how it works. It's not suddenly you go there. There's only what few people who can achieve straight, perfect, ultimate happiness, attainment. Even Master Cheng takes time. He's showing us he's taking his time. He said he only realized the importance of chanting Amitabha and actually reaped the benefits of it at the age of 80. After giving speech for 20, 30 years. And he said all the speech he gives, like this one, is a reminder for himself. It's not because he's a teacher, he's teaching you. No. He has that aura. We probably felt that he's a teacher, and probably is. He is a teacher for us, but he don't feel like that. 不好为人师嘛. He just feel like I just want to remind myself. On the way, I'm reminding everyone too, because we're all having a Buddha nature, right? So back to the matters. What is priority in life? So this is something you have to answer yourself. I'm just giving you the point from what I learned. Right? Having someone to point your direction is the first step. To walk that direction is the second step. How do we get there? How do we overcome the struggle towards that direction is the third step. And still remain back on track. That's the challenge. Right? It won't be smooth. For a lot of us, it won't be smooth. But we can pray, we can ask for help. And we can ask for help among the groups, communities. We also need to ask for help from the Buddha and ourselves. Are you helping yourself? That's something I learned. Are you helping yourself or sabotaging yourself? Do you love yourself? That's very important. If you choose direction, if you truly love yourself, I'm not talking about narcissistic love, I'm talking about actual love. You will naturally lead yourself towards an action that will love others, that will take care of others. Because you take care of yourself, you can take care of others. You can take care of others, others will spread this kindness and they will continue. Build up the communities, which is what we have here. Community in Pure Land, groups. Automated, right? It's not demanded by Master Cheng Kung. He's just leading everyone towards that direction. Everyone felt like I felt love in his speech because he cares, not because he's just saying, he's not trying to get fame, money from me. He's just trying to remind me, trying to wake me up. I suffer from this relationship, I suffer on this work, people don't understand me. Probably a lot of suffering more prevalent in now than before. And a good speech really matters, right? It wakes you up, it makes you re-energized because you know where you're going. You have the energy to do what you want, but to know where you're going is the hardest part. And to not forget after being reminded where you're going is even harder. Alright, so another point that was brought out, a conclusion, because priority means what? You want to lead to your best outcome, that you can bring happiness to yourself. So first one is, the most happier things in life is having a teacher to bring you, the good teacher to lead you to the right direction. Walk there, not here, because that will lead you to ruin. Let go of the wrong conception. Pick up the right one. What is the right one? The one that talks to your deeper heart and makes you feel happier, lighter. And the measurement of this is the older you get, the lighter you feel, the less burden you feel in terms of your mental, right? Like, yes, there's a lot of situation outside. It's hard, it's struggling, but you still have faith to overcome it. Even you lost, you still have faith to stand up. That's important, right? Because ultimately these are all part of the progress. This is why teaching is important. It teaches you, I'm wiping away my bad karma. This is teaching me to change my bad habits. If I continue playing games or wasting time like this, I will go to nowhere, right? So this adversity teaches me to know this level of realization. I need teacher to lead me the way, right? And the teacher is the Buddha. The teacher is everyone, not just the Buddha. The Buddha, the Master Cheng Kung, Venerable Cheng, you, my colleagues, good example, bad examples. But to know how to see the world in the most open and most beneficial way, not a closed-minded person, is a blessing. And this needs some sort of teaching. That's why Buddha is here. He's leading you to that open mind. You can see things, you can learn it yourself afterwards. But he points you, this is where you go. So that's number one, happiness. Right? We all have it now. Just make use of it. How to make use of it. So number two, happiness comes from inside. It gushes out. It yearns to be released from your heart. Right? Not from the outside. If you get happiness from outside, it's called excitement. You can, in a sense, it's a drug. Right? Why do I know that? Because, yeah, I have a lot of that. Not drug, but kind of drug. Right? Sensory stimulations. These are very enthralling. It's very 就很上瘾, right? Very addictive. Right? You want that. You want to ride the high. But how do we be happy from inside? Thank you, Melinda. That's something we need to learn, right? Like, how do we get that gushes of happiness coming out from inside? We have to look at examples, right? Because we are still struggling. I'm still struggling too. So let's define what is happiness first, and then we can talk about it. So I have something behind me. All right, don't worry. I have notes. I take notes from the teaching of Master Cheng. The first one. Mencius define happiness in three forms. Mencius, right? The students of Confucius, hundreds of years after, right? It's not in the same era. So his way of understanding happiness is three types. First one, the most common one, 天伦之乐, right? It's the happiness of family. That happiness is your parents are safe, your siblings are healthy. Your parents or siblings are healthy, happy. And you felt the happiness too. You know, you see your brothers have a happy life in work, in relationship, you're happy. You see your sister having a good career, you know, being on the path, you're happy. And that will affect you too. And if you feel happy on the achievements of your peers, your siblings, and your parents' health, you're on your way. That's the easiest way to understand. Second kind of happiness, Melinda and everyone, is the happiness of conscience. Every time you sleep, you feel like I did not do anything that I feel sorry towards anyone. If I do, I confessed. Right? So in the end of the day, you are not ashamed of yourself when you're sleeping. When you look at the heavens, I can look into heavens and feel at peace. Poetically put, 仰不愧于天. Or then like 俯不作于人, right? When you look at your peers, your fellow humans, you don't feel shame. You don't feel ashamed of yourself because you did not do anything ashamed. Right? So you feel at peace. That's what I'm trying to say. You feel at peace. And yes, we all will make mistakes, but how we amend it, that's something I need to point out, right? Conscience doesn't mean that you do not do mistakes at all. It's that how do you prevent the mistake from repeating itself and affecting you and people around you again? That's another kind of happiness. You're able to cleanse your soul, so to speak. You're able to bring forth your conscience. You live every day guilt-free because you did your best, right? Yes, if you want to go really, really detailed, you want to be 100% guilt-free, you need to attain enlightenment. Right? Otherwise, we are ignorant, some form of ignorance in ourselves because we haven't fully enlightened ourselves. So we'll be ignorant of our action, our speech. We need to communicate. We need to say, I'm sorry, I did this wrong. And we need to take it in and able to change it, put an effort. That's how, in our level, we clear our conscience. Right? I'm not saying that you should not make any mistake at all, or no emotion at all. It's able to maintain, able to soothe, tame values. Good, I like this. What do you mean by values, Melinda? In the shortest form you can, like values is like principles. You go by, you don't harm,
Yes.
you don't steal, you don't lie. Is that true?
Well,
Yeah.
true, but some of the values can be I don't know. I
Values?
came across this
Yeah.
meaning, okay, people say don't lie, but some people do make white lies. So where's the line?
Beautiful.
So I'd rather not do white lies if you say the vows or values, then don't do white lies at all. Because it makes you want to lie even further if you do one white lie, right? So explain with that. Because sometimes with values and happiness, it can have gray areas.
Beautiful. Beautifully spoken. This is how our existence is, right? It's not black and white. It will be gray. And how we see that, there's a story, right? Again, the reason why Buddha does not appear as celestial but as a human being is to show us there's so many things in human beings, they are not clear black and white. That's why he create a lot of things on the spot when he encountered a human condition. First thing, there is a hunter. I think you heard this before. I'm sure you do. There's a hunter chasing after a rabbit. On the road, it encounters the Buddha or a saint, kind of a monk who attained enlightenment. He asked the monk, because monk, you know, right, not supposed to lie, right? He literally have a code. Do not lie, do not kill, do not steal, do not have any sexual conduct, do not have intoxicants. That's the basics of the basics. And then the hunter asked him, where is the rabbit? He knows where the rabbit is. He knows the rabbit running towards the left side, but he pointed right side. So he lied. But did he do a good thing or a bad thing from that lie? So it's situational, Melinda. It's situational. And situational does not mean you should do as you please. It's just the situation demands. You want to save a life or you want to protect yourself from breaching the lie clause. And even that lie clause has its exception, just like everything else in the world. English grammar rule has exception. Too many for non-second language people like us, right? It's a second language for me. It's so hard. Law has always exception, right? Like you say, like you summarize perfectly. It's a great thing. It does not mean that you cannot stand on the line. It's just you need to understand the situation. That means, assess the situation. If I can save a life and I lie, I would gladly lie without going against my conscience, because I don't lie to deceive. I don't lie to take. I don't lie to get something that is not mine. I lie to save a life. And I gladly take the consequences for lying that. That takes a lot of courage as well. So that's where we stand. Are we harming or are we helping people? Are we harming or helping people? Or creatures, right? Not just people. So that's where we stand. So that is conscience, right? And the last one is the happiness come from helping people. So that we mentioned about happiness from your family joy, familiar connection, happiness from your conscience. That's what mentions say. The last one is happiness from helping people. He described it in a very nice way. Able to have a talented younger generation and able to nurture them. That's the very big happiness he has. Because he's able to create someone, he's able to assist that person to become even more capable to help people. Instill the, like you say, right value, instill the value, how to navigate that value is very important than just teaching knowledge, right? Knowing why you do things is more important than just knowing what to do, right? Why you do things, how you assess this situation, how you make judgment on that situation, and that judgment leads to the best possible outcomes in this very navigated, very convoluted society, very messy society. And not to say we are in the world where competing traditions, we're living in competing traditions. It's not just one singular tradition. You have different values, different cultures, different religions mixed in here. So we need values that speaks to all of them. Do not harm. love thy neighbors, right? Those basic values needs to be instilled and actioned. So this is the joy. Joy of conscience, joy of familiar connection, and joy of being an example. How do you help other people? Being an example, right? You help people by being an example yourself. The one that benefit the most is the one that is closest to you. And then it will gushes out to the strangers. Because you don't know, you just do what is already been doing at home. You help people on the first notice. You don't walk away. You don't shy away. You just feel it's right. That's what I should be. My parents doing that all the time. That is my value, right? So that happiness will continue build up, and then it gushes out because you are in line with your Buddha nature. That's what we call Buddha nature, 良心, right? In this purest form is Buddha nature. Your conscience in your purest form is your Buddha nature. All right. I'll continue next month, with the Q&A from the speech, and then I'll tailor it towards us. But so far, this is the crux of the teaching, the core of the teaching on what is your priority in life, right? We have talked about importance of directions rather than just efforts, because efforts will come when you have the right direction. And I bring in a very simple example because Melinda probably missed it, is when you in work, there's a bonus, 10% incentive. If you get 10 cases above, like if you go above and beyond, you get 20%. So you work hard because you have a direction to get more bonus, right? Kids, you give them 2 extra hours of playtime with their games or with their friends outside above their quota. If they finish their homework on time before they go to sleep every day, they will work hard. So there are incentives, right? In Pure Land, this one I didn't bring up. In our Buddhist teaching, do you understand that Buddha also bring a lot of incentive as well? Just to encourage us, right? He described about Pure Lands, he described all you need to do is just to chant. If you have no knowledge, no literacy at all, like uneducated, 100%, your heart is pure. Your heart is set straight to Amitabha Buddha. You can attain the level of someone like Patriarch of the Sixth. The sixth Patriarch of the Zen, Liu Zuhuiren the level, right? You can achieve as high as someone who's highly educated and highly positioned if your heart is pure and chanting the name of the Amitabha, because he has the vow to bring you there. That's incentive. I was like, oh my God, oh my Buddha, like how did one have this achievement? Because you all, no matter your position in the society, that's your past karma, but your innate, unchanging nature is pure. No matter how tainted you are in your situation right now, this is just a condition. But inside is Buddha nature, is your true nature, whatever you call it, God or whatever. Like it's there, it's unchanging. It's you, right? That's the true you. And that is the foundation of all the teachings, right? Not just Buddhist teaching. Now, and we talk about the importance of choosing right direction, because wrong direction will lead you to have more misery. Misery comes in the form of, again, I'd rather repeat, attachments, stronger attachment as you go, rather than you feeling more light and happier and freer as you age. And I bring out the examples of Confucius, giving 3 examples of what we should guard against at 3 different stages in our life. In our youth, we should guard against sexual impulses, because this is what drives us a lot of times in that age, especially with modern medias and the access to the materials is even worse. So that is a stronger struggles. And in the middle age, in the 中年, the prime of your adulthood, you should guard against the impulses to compete, to get number 1 above all else, no matter what it costs. That kind of mentality. Because over competitive, being too, attached into that number 1 fame will cost you in the long run. You will sacrifice your family, you sacrifice what actually really matters in the long run, what actually brings you happiness, that connection, and even your conscience, your spiritual conscience, because you might do something you wouldn't do to get to that number 1. That's why there are consequences, right? That's why I digress again. That's why, like, Emperor Tang Taizong, the Tang Dynasty emperor, was in hell because of his action of killing his own siblings to get to the throne. Even though he spread Buddhism, does not mean he's excused from his karma, and he's begging for forgiveness and repent in the form of others person to venerable Cheng Kong's ceremony. That's why getting number one is not the only thing. Getting just enough and then focus on what really matters. Okay. Number three, we should guard against guard against 患得患失, the sense of loss and gain, overly attached to the gain and loss at the older age, at the elder age, because we were attached to our kids, attached to our children, attached to maybe our fame, attached to too much to familiar connection as well is also a problem. Anything that is beyond middle path, the middle path, balance, moderation is a problem, right? So in the older age, we get attached easily. We should be more free. We should be more wise. That's why we use the word age gracefully. It's not just the face. Face is a reflection of the heart. If the heart is free and happy, it will glow on your face, no matter how advanced you age, which is evident on Master Cheng Kong's look, right? He has good skin, even though he's at the age of 80, 90. Everyone's like, oh wow, like even the dentist, how is your teeth so healthy even though you don't brush them diligently before that? Or how is your face looking so young even at the age of 80? You look like 60s. It is, I've seen his person, he's glowing all the time. So, it comes from the heart. It's all about the heart. So we know these three. We know that consequences of, not choosing the right direction leads to misery. Now we conclude the happiest thing in life is to have someone to lead you to a right direction. We all have met that already. It's just to understand it, just to remember ourselves and actually walk the path. Second thing, the happiness we should recognize is coming from the inside, not from the outside stimulation. That's not to say that you should not have any good cup of coffee or good walk. You should have a good stimulation, but not the one that will ruin you too much, like drugs, intoxicants, or in my case, games, or access to materials that are too exciting. Those things are unhealthy. So what they're trying to say is ultimately happiness should come from the inside. And how do we access to the happiness from the inside? There are three types as described by Mencius. First thing, your family connection. That brings you happiness. You take care of your family, your parents, your siblings, right? Your original family, and in future your spouse and your children if you choose to have some. And then the second one is the happiness from your conscience, right? You are not ashamed of yourself at the end of the day. If you have mistakes, you rectify it as soon as possible, not letting it fester into something worse, right? We're a creature of habits. Fight against our darker impulses. Do what we can, right? Third one, the happiness of actually nurture and help people. And how do you nurture? How do you help people? How do you, maybe the younger generations come to you, they look up to you, they want your help. You being an example. You show them this is what a happy human life should be. This is what a human should be among the crowd. And among even like Venerable Wu Ling has shown us, right? There's a lot of, she showed a lot of examples in US, perpetrators, victims of the assault. Maybe their daughter was lost to the murderer, and this murderer is having a tough childhood, and they're able to forgive, because he wants another life not being ruined by this. So that's powerful. We don't have to do that to that level yet, but we need to at least be an example to ourselves and people around us. So that's the three kind of happiness that will gush us from the inside. All right, with that in mind, I would like to conclude this session, and thank you so much. Any feedbacks, guys? Any questions I can bring forward to next, and I can bring to Venerable Chanda as well. He wants to know how we go as well.